This is American Top 40 in Hollywood. I'm Casey Kasem. We're counting down the 40 biggest hits in the nation the way they're ranked on the official Billboard chart. And the countdown continues.
Number 30.
5 debuts this week, and this one is by another favorite of the critics that finally hits the top 40. They're a 4-man band from Athens, Georgia called R.E.M. Coming in at number 30 with The One I Love. The One I Love, first top 40 hit for newcomers Michael Stipe, Peter Buck, Mike Mills, and Bill Berry. The group R.E.M. They debut this week at number 30.
American Top 40.
Now we're up to the band whose lead guitarist has a part-time job. He works in a small mom-and-pop record store, even though his band has released 6 albums and is currently in the top 40. The group is R.E.M., and the man with a love for record retailing is guitarist Peter Buck. Years ago, Peter started working the sales counter at Wuxtree Records. It's in Athens, Georgia, the band's home base. And Peter says it was the ideal job. He told writer Bill Foreman, "For so many years we'd finish a tour and come back home. This is before we had a record contract. And I'd go to work in the store. I'd take my guitar and sit and play all day. I must have written like 100 songs in there. Our singer, Michael, used to come down and we'd write songs together. My boss was real cool. He'd say, 'Long as you're on the cash register.' Well, once R.E.M. got a recording contract, Peter gave up the record store job, but only for a while. He missed it. Quote, 'It always seemed like there was an empty place in my life, so when they offered me a part-time job there again, I said, sure, why not? I worked there every Monday all summer. Only instead of money, I get paid in records now.' End of quote from Peter Buck, a guitarist who finds inspiration and plain fun working part-time at a record store in his hometown of Athens, Georgia. You won't find him at Wuxtree Records at this moment. He's busy on tour with R.E.M. But once the tour ends, come on down and say hi. I'm sure Peter will autograph an R.E.M. album for you if you pay for it. His band's hit is at number 12 this week. Here's The One I Love. R.E.M. and The One I Love. It was at number 12 for 2 weeks, then last week it did it. Cracked the top 10, hitting number 9. Now they're back at that familiar number 12 spot. It's a song from their album called Document.
American Top 40.
Billboard ranks them, AT40 counts them down.
Number 25.
Well, they say the third time's the charm, but that doesn't always apply to top 40 hits. It took this band 4 chart singles before they made it to our survey. From the start, they had loyal fans and critical praise. It was just a matter of patience and persistence for R.E.M. Here they are at number 25 in the countdown with The One I Love. Reached number 9 in our countdown. Last week went to number 12. This week, it's at number 25. The One I Love by Mike Mills, Bill Berry, Peter Buck, and Michael Stipe.
Casey's Top 40.
I'm Casey Kasem. Today we're counting down the cream of the crop, the top 100 hits of 1991. And moving in at number 71 is a shiny, happy hit from a band who had their biggest selling CD in 1991, the multi-platinum CD, Out of Time. They had started as a local band in the college town of Athens, Georgia, then developed a dedicated following across the USA, and in 1991 got millions of fans all over the world. Here's R.E.M. with Shiny, Happy People. Michael Stipe leading the band R.E.M. They have the 71st hottest hit in our year-end countdown, an optimistic song called Shiny Happy People. I'm Casey Kasem on a special edition of Casey's Top 40, the top 100 hits of 1991.
Casey's Top 40.
I'm Casey Kasem. Casey's Top 40 originates in Hollywood. Well, now we're up to the latest hit for R.E.M., a band that would not have stayed together after their first performance if it hadn't been for 2 stolen beer taps. It all happened back in 1980 in the college town of Athens, Georgia. Singer Michael Stipe and guitar player Peter Buck had been jamming together with bass player Mike Mills and drummer Bill Berry. They say they weren't really thinking about creating a band. They just jammed after work for the fun of it. Peter Buck's girlfriend often came to those jams, and when her birthday rolled around, she asked the 4 aspiring musicians to play at her party. Well, Peter bought 2 big kegs of beer for the party, and for the kegs he needed to rent taps. Peter had to put down a deposit of $200 on the taps. $200 he didn't have. But his musician friends chipped in, and they finally scraped up enough cash. Well, the party was great. Everyone loved the music. But the morning after, when Peter Buck and Michael Stipe went to pick up the beer taps to return them and get their money back, they had a very bad surprise. It seemed that somebody had walked off with those taps. They were out $200. Michael says, quote, "That was the only time we were planning to play, but we figured we've got to do something to get back our money. So we went to a club we knew and asked if we could play one night just to make back the money," unquote. Well, thanks to word of mouth and their many friends around town, the young musicians packed the club that night. And they didn't just make their money back, they made $500. Michael says that convinced them they might just have something with their music. And he adds, quote, "If it weren't for those stolen beer taps, we probably wouldn't be here today," unquote. Well, today R.E.M. is here in a big, big way. Their latest CD, Monster, has sold over 2 million copies. And this week, the second single from that CD is our biggest mover. Jumping 10 notches to number 19 on Casey's Top 40, here's R.E.M. with Bang and Blame. Leaping 10 big notches to number 19, that's this week's biggest mover, Bang and Blame by R.E.M.